So is the US likely to default on its US debt? Probability is yes, but how is that going to come about? Well, advisor to Putin, Mr. Anton Kubiakov, is already accusing the US in a detailed paper that the US is using the Genius Act, which Trump brought in back in July, by using stable coins to default on US debt. Remember, stable coins are backed by the US dollar, which means that they're supposed to be stable. However, it could be a Trojan horse in the future where the US could devalue the US dollar or make the connection between stable coin and the dollar to say 50 cents in the dollar as opposed to $1 in the dollar. Not only that, the US is no stranger to default. Look at 1930s, they defaulted on gold. Look at that was under Roosevelt. Look at the 1970s, Nixon decoupled the US dollar from the gold standard. Both of those are defaults, even though they weren't absolute nominal defaults by the US not paying its debt. By devaluing or decoupling from the gold standard made the dollar less valuable, which is essentially a default. And the Russians are claiming that the US plans to dump its 37 trillion worth of debt, start again from scratch using crypto and using gold. And this could send markets absolutely crashing. So it won't be an absolute default whereby they don't pay the interest, but it is a default by continuing devaluation of the US dollar. Let's be clear here. The US dollar is going to continue, I should say, to devalue. That is a main aim of Scott Bessent, Donald Trump, not the Fed. The Fed is trying to maintain the valuation of the dollar, but the government is trying to devalue the US dollar. They claim to make it more economically competitive, make the US a better trading partner. However, this will push assets up, so there'll be asset price inflation, and will push overall value of the dollar down and push inflation up as well. But what about gold and what about silver? Well, we've stated clearly that gold is going to continue rising longer term and that silver is going to continue rising longer term. But is a default really on the cards? In my opinion, yes. Not absolute in non-payable terms, but yes, it is there on the cards, and that's why I'm pushing gold, and that's why I'm pushing crypto, and that's why I'm pushing Bitcoin.